Hi everyone, and thanks for joining another session of Otis for Educators. I'm Joe Quadrino.
And I'm Nicole Matthew.
And we're both curriculum specialists here at Tech. Today you are joining us for Getting Started with Newsela, where we're going over a website you can use in all of your classrooms for literacy.
If you have any questions, just put them in the chat box and we'll get those answered for you.
All right, let's take a look at the agenda and get started. Okay, so today we are going over Newsela. Yes, Newsela is the proper way to say it. I used to say Newsela back in the day, but Newsela is the correct way to say it, fun fact. But today we're going to learn all about it. So we're going to start off with what is Newsela, and then we're going to review the free version versus Newsela Pro, which is the paid version of Newsela. We're going to focus on the free version today, but we are going to take a look at those differences. Then we're going to take a look at reading a Newsela article, what you can do with it. And then we'll take a look at some class features, Newsela's classes, and how you can make text sets and assignments. And then we'll wrap up by looking at the student view. What are they going to see when they open up Newsela? But let's start off by reviewing what is Newsela and take a look at some of these paid features. So, Newsela versus Newsela Pro. Newsela, we're going to focus on the free version of Newsela today. This is everything in this course we are going to do is free. Everything you see today will be free. We're going to see the access to articles. We're going to see the different Lexile levels. That's a great feature of Newsela, is that you can adjust the Lexile level and your students can adjust the Lexile level of an article. So maybe if an article is a little higher than they are comfortable with, they can lower that Lexile level so it's easier for them to understand. It's a great feature of Newsela. In the free version, you could also add classes as the teacher and from there give assignments. You could also assign text sets. Text sets are a group of articles that might have a similar theme or category that you create. For example, maybe you want a set of articles on endangered species. So there's an article on some bears and some birds and all these different kinds of endangered animals in this text set. And you can assign this entire text set to your students. And you can do that for free. For free, you can also annotate articles. Your students can annotate articles. And they can also take quizzes and respond to prompts. Every Newsela article will have a writing prompt that goes along with it, as well as a short reading quiz. For free, everyone can take those prompts and take those quizzes. Now we're going to see that Newsela Pro, remember this is the paid side of Newsela, is going to have some bonus features and some more access. With Newsela Pro, the teacher can track student data. Now this is pretty important. Only in Newsela Pro can you track student data. Students might be able to take quizzes, but only in Newsela Pro can you check the students' quiz and prompt responses. Now that's a little bit of a bummer. Students can take these quizzes that you assign, but you can't actually see the results. The students can. They'll know what they got on the quiz, but the teacher doesn't have access to that data unless they have Newsela Pro. In Newsela Pro, it can also adapt the Lexile level to individual students. It actually uses kind of that machine learning to predict the language that students are using in their Newsela articles and what they're succeeding in with their quizzes to predict the Lexile they should be reading at. But that's only available in Newsela Pro. And lastly, only in Newsela Pro can you share annotations. Anyone can make an annotation for free. Again, we're going to see that in the free version today. But only in Newsela Pro can you share those annotations with others. So we're going to see that Newsela is great for a school resource. It's really beneficial if you pay for it because you get all these extra features, but we're going to see there's still a lot you can do just for free. So let's take a look now, and we are going to take a look at a Newsela article. What are some things we can do with just a free Newsela article? There's a few things we can do. I already mentioned the Lexiles. This is a great feature. You can change the Lexile while you read. That is a huge feature. You'll also be able, and your students will be able, to have the article read aloud to them. Again, a great feature. This is free. Everyone has access to this. Students can have a Newsela article read aloud to them. You can also save, share, and print your articles. You can share these articles via Google Classroom, which we'll take a look at later. You could save these to what's called your content to read for later. And you can also print these articles, have hard copies as well. Like I mentioned before, you can annotate articles. Very simply and easily, you can annotate these articles. Again, you cannot share them for free. Like, students will not be able to see your annotations unless you have that paid account. But still, to have students practice annotating, it is easy to do inside of Newsela. And like I mentioned before, there's the writing prompt and reading quiz attached to every article inside of Newsela. So after a student is done reading, you can have them respond to a prompt. You can have them check their understanding with a quiz. Again, only in the free version will you see those results as the teacher, unless, of course, you hover over the computer and, watch over their shoulder or ask them to show you the results. But you will not have that access sent to your teacher account unless you have the paid version. A lot we can do in a Newsela article. What I'm going to do now is actually head over to the computer and show you what a Newsela article looks like. Okay. Now, as I'm walking over to the computer, I do want to point out that I am going to do a little demo here, some show and tell, but I don't recommend that you necessarily follow along and try and practice as I am showing. We're going to, just show a lot of features pretty quickly. We might be going a little too fast. I recommend if you want to practice, pause the video, practice the skill you want, and then resume the video. Okay, but this is the Newsela website. The website is in the resources below this video. It's newsela.com. A lot of people call it Newsela. It's the wrong pronunciation, but it's an easy way to remember the name. Here is the home page. You can sign in the top right corner here. You could also join the website if you don't have an account. It is easy to sign in with Google or Microsoft or Clever. You could also create your own account using a different email. But I have an account signed in with Google. I'm actually going to be Liam Lemur today is going to be my account. All right, and this is the home page. On the home page in Newsela, they have a few featured articles. They also have a search feature, a whole section on the election, and some other items as well we'll talk more about later. But I'm just going to show you an article real quick. So I'm actually going to head over here. 7-year-olds spreading hope for kids. That sounds like a good article. So this is a Newsela article. A few things you'll notice right away. You see all of these options at the top like I mentioned before. The option to save it, to read aloud. Again, students will see this as well. The option to share it out. As a teacher, you also have the ability to hide this article from your students so they would not be able to find it on Newsela's website. Maybe if there's an article that has some sensitive information that you don't really think your students can handle, maybe that's one you want to hide. You could also print it and then add it to a text set. What's also great about every Newsela article is that it is going to include where the article originated from down here. This article originated in the Washington Post. It tells you what grade level it's recommended for and what text level or what reading level the original article is set at. So this original article is at a 6th grade reading level. However, we can change that Lexile level. We can do that by heading up to this in the top corner here. Right now it's at the highest reading level, the max reading level. Again, that's about a 6th grade level. However, we can change that and lower it. And watch the title. Watch the title as I change these reading levels. So let's go to 840. We're going to change Lexile down a little bit. Title doesn't change. But if I head down one more, oh wow, title's not changing for me. I picked a weird article. Hold on. These articles, all right, look at the text down here. You know what? I picked the one article where the title doesn't change Lexiles. Go figure. Okay, but anyway, watch the text down here. Here we go. This is what we're looking for. Here we go. Start at the top. Boom. Notice how it changes. All right, looking into her computer's camera. I change the Lexile to the lowest one. Changes. Molly Marks is 7 years old. Now it's at a 2nd grade reading level. Okay, so each article has multiple reading levels that your students can navigate through to find the one that's best for them. We'll also see that as a teacher, you can force a reading level on them so they can't just pick the easiest one. But we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But this is a simple Newsela article. You know, a lot of features that students can use, that teachers can use, and we'll check out more of those features in a little bit.
Hey, Joe, is there an option for teachers to be able to change the language of the article?
Language, yes. So you can have Newsela articles read in or presented in Spanish. That is an option that you can enable on the article itself. Yeah, let's take a look. All right, so Newsela articles, you can have read, or some read in Spanish. If they have that Spanish feature, it would be up here at the top. So right next to Lexile, and this article is not available in Spanish. Some are. There would be an option for English or Spanish up here. As a teacher, you cannot assign as a particular language, I don't believe, but you can choose articles that have that setting, and then a student can select it. As always, your students could translate the page using a Google Translate or another feature to have the article presented in a different language. But some articles do, some articles do not. This one does not. Why don't I just try another article real quick, see if that does. Let's see. This one here. No. There are some that do, I promise. But anyway, let's move on into our next section here on Newsela classes. Remember, even in the free version of Newsela, as a teacher, you can create classes for your students, where you can even assign articles to them. We're going to take a look at these classes now. So in Newsela, we can create these classes by going to your account settings and then the classes tab. It's going to look like this. This is a screenshot of the page I'm talking about. You can create your own classes, or you can even sync with Google Classroom. All right, so we're going to see both kinds of classes created today. To view your classes and to view the assignments and whatnot you're giving, you're going to go to your binder. So there's two separate places we're going to take a look at now. We're going to take a look at the Classes tab, where we can create a class and sync with Google Classroom, and we'll take a look at the binder, where we can view the content we've given to these classes. Let's take a look. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look at our classes. Okay, so I'm back on my Newsela page here, and the account settings we can access by clicking on your initials in this little circle up here. So if I just click on this, I'm brought to the settings page. And from here, I am going to select classes. This is where I can view my classes in Newsela. So I have a few classes here. You'll notice that I have some classes that were created inside of Newsela. I have a test class, a test high school class. You can select the grade level of those classes. Each Newsela class will produce a class code that students can sign up with. You have the ability to add a co-teacher. And you also have the ability to select that the class is an elementary class. What this means is an elementary class Newsela is going to limit the articles available to those students to elementary specific reading levels and topics. They're not going to have some advanced articles or ones about what they call scary or sensitive topics. They're only going to be topics that are appropriate for elementary students. And even if you select grade 3 as your grade, you can still toggle this on and off. I could even toggle it on and off for my high school class if I wanted to. Any teacher has the ability to toggle that on and off for their students. Maybe you have elementary students, you want them to have access to some more advanced articles, you have that option. Okay. So you can also sync classes with Google Classroom. Easy way to do that is this blue button that says Sync Now. If you're logged in with your Google account, remember I signed in with Google, it'll just automatically bring your Google classes in here. I have my one Google class, the Little Einsteins, a 7th grade class, and it is synced with Google Classroom. Okay, this is how we create classes. Just real quick, if I wanted to create a class in Newsela, not synced with Google Classroom, I can create a class, I can give it a name, let's call it English 10th grade. I give it a grade, I give it a subject, I can select that elementary content filter if I want, and then just hit create class. And now I have this new class. If I want to add students, I have that option here. where it tells me the link they can use to join or that code they can use to join. To show you really quick what that looks like when you have the Newsela homepage open here, a student could just type in that class code and then be joined into the class once they sign in with their account. Okay, so now that we have our classes, how can we view our classes and content? That is in the binder up here. So with the binder, if I just click on my binder, it's brought me to this page. On my left-hand side, I see all of my classes, and I can select the class I want, let's say my little Einsteins, and these are the assignments that I have given in my little Einsteins class. We'll take a closer look at assignments next. But notice you see the students that have viewed it, just a number of students that viewed it. And this, you can click on it, the assignments to learn more. However, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have teacher data here. This is a free account. So for example, in my reading summary tab, if you had Newsela Pro, you would see all of this student data telling you their reading lexile, their quiz percentages, their writing prompt responses, but that would all be under Newsela Pro. Okay, so let's head back to our presentation here so we can take a look at these assignments, and also we can take a look at text sets. All right, we took a look at classes. How do we actually get content to our students in those classes? We're going to take a look at that now. So text sets. I personally love text sets because it can group several articles together, and these articles can be assigned all at once. We'll see in Newsela there are featured text sets. There are text sets created by teachers, and you can create your own. So one nice thing about text sets are you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Text sets are created every day by teachers, and teachers have the ability to publish them to Newsela where other teachers can use their text sets. A lot of teachers using Newsela have detailed assignments with their text sets and good, essential questions that you can use and not need to reinvent anything. And you can search for those text sets. We'll take a look in a minute. We're also going to take a look at assignments, where you can assign a single article or an entire text set. Even if you're using someone else's text set, you'll be able to create custom directions for your students. Maybe you want students to use different colors in their annotations for different parts of the article. We can show not only how to give those directions, but how students can do that as well. So let's take a look now at text sets and assignments. Okay, so again, I mentioned this earlier. I'm going to go over this in an overview fashion. If you want to practice on your own, I recommend you pause the video, practice, and then return to the video when you are ready to see what's next. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to just find another article. All right, I'm going to head back to the home page here. Let's actually search for an article. Let's do an article about bears. Search for bears, and now I have all these articles about bears. And let's say I want, here we go, what does a bear do in the Alaska woods? Disperse seeds. That sounds like an interesting article. So I can click on it and read it myself, or I even have the option to assign it from here. Let's say I want to, take a quick peek at it first, see what the reading level is, etc. This is a 6th grade reading level. That sounds like it's good for my little Einsteins class. So from here, I can assign this, or I could add it to a text set. I'm actually going to do both for now. I'm going to add it to a text set where I have one already created. It's called August text set. Or I can even create a new one. If I create a new one, this is the name it's given to me automatically, but I can edit it. Okay. I'm going to go to my text sets. So I'm going to go to content created by you. I have my text set here, and here I can edit my text set. So I'm going to just show that one more time. Once you add something to a text set or create a text set, you can access it from your content. I'm going to take a look at content created by me. And here is the text set I just created where I can edit it. Okay? So I'm going to edit my text set. let's rename it. Let's call it my bear text set. I can give specific directions for my text set, where I can say annotate these articles. That's fine. And I'll save that. Okay. Let's add one more article to my text set. I'm going to go back to search. Let's go back to bears. And let's get one more article. Students get a glimpse at the life of a bear. All right, another good article for my little Einsteins here. And I'm going to, again, add this to the text set. Up, real quick, hey, look. Here's a Spanish article. All right, just like I mentioned before, this is an article you can translate in Spanish. I'll show that real quick. Boom, now it's in Spanish. Okay, head back to English. And I'm going to add this to my bear text set. All right, it's been added to my bear text set. Now I'm going to head back to my content, my bear text set, and I'm going to assign this to students. I have the ability here to create the assignment. What I can do is I can choose the class or classes I want to assign this to. I can select the text level I want these articles to be read in, and I can provide unique instructions. So let's first select our classes. I want this to go to my little Einsteins and also my test class. So now it's going to be assigned to 2 classrooms. I can adjust the Newsela recommended reading level. It sees that my little Einsteins class is a 7th grade class. So it's going to have my articles automatically presented as the 7th grade or closest to 7th grade reading level. However, I can adjust that. So let's say I want them at a 5th grade level. I would select 5th grade. This means that students will not be able to change it until after they submit the quiz. They have to read the article first, take the quiz, and then they'll be able to change the reading level. And now I'm locked at a 5th grade reading level. I can give my own instructions, and when I'm ready, I can select Assign. And now this assignment appears in the Assignments section of my binder. And if I select on a particular class, like my little Einsteins, I will see that so far, none of the students in that class have viewed the text set, which makes sense. Okay, so those are assignments and text sets. Now let's take a look at the student view.
Hey, Joe, we actually had a question in the chat box. So you mentioned before that we can sync our Google Classroom to Newsela. Is there a way for us to assign assignments from Newsela to Google Classroom?
Nikki, that's a great question, and the short answer is no. If you would make an assignment in Newsela and assign it in Newsela, it will not show up in your Google Classroom. The only way you can do that is you could share the article to Google Classroom, and you could tell them, hey, complete the assignment in Newsela, but it doesn't just automatically sync to Google Classroom like that. The syncing with Google Classroom is really just to add students and to create the class.
We also had another follow-up question with that. Is there a way for me to get around the issue of not being able to see my students' responses using Google Classroom as the vehicle?
Yes, the short answer here is yes. So like we mentioned earlier, students answering the writing prompt, teachers will not be able to see it with a free account. However, you can share the article to Classroom and create an assignment in Classroom that attaches a Google Doc or some other way to write out a response. Let's go to the computer and take a look at this workaround. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another article. I'm just going to find an article. Let's do one on teachers. And I'm going to select an article here. Now, let's say I have this article, and I can share this article. Now, remember, I'm actually going to use Google Classroom to assign this article, not Newsela. I could assign it with Newsela too, but I'm going to use Google Classroom specifically for this assignment. So I'm going to hit Share, and then Google Classroom. Now, when I share to Google Classroom, I'll be able to choose my class, the little Einsteins, and I can choose an action. There are 2 ways you can do it. You can create an assignment or ask a question. I prefer to create an assignment. So now the Newsela article is attached to this assignment. And I might give directions, Newsela writing prompt, the instructions, answer the writing prompt from the Newsela article in a Google Doc. So they're going to see the writing prompt in the article, but then they're actually going to use a Google Doc to respond to it. Now you'll notice right here, when I create the assignment from Newsela, and now it's prompted up Classroom, I don't have the ability to actually add a doc. Like you'll see, there's no of those attach buttons. However, that will change once I assign it. And then, if I actually view the assignment, I can edit it. So let me edit this assignment here, all right? And now I can actually add or create a document. So if I want to add a Google Doc, now students have a Google Doc that they'll be able to use with their article. So to go back, you can make a copy for each student, and then students will be able to use that Google Doc. So
we have another follow-up question with that. If you were assigning something I know in Google Classroom you can schedule it for later, but if you're assigning something in Newsela, are you able to schedule that for later as well?
In Newsela, you are not able to schedule an assignment inside of Newsela. Of course, you can, schedule the shared assignment to Classroom. So for example, if I'm just going to create this assignment one more time. So again, I hit share to Google Classroom, make an assignment, and I could assign this or schedule it once I have some details filled in. But you cannot assign a Newsela assignment. That's a good question. Okay, so we assigned on Google Classroom. I want to show you what the writing prompt looked like real quick. That's what I wanted to do. So in my Newsela article, on this activity side, this is where students will access the writing prompt and the quiz. So here's the writing prompt. There's one that's already default created by Newsela, but as a teacher, you can edit that. And again, you can edit it. Students can respond to it. How do you appreciate your teachers? And students will be able to respond to it. However, they will not then, the teacher will not be able to see that data in Newsela, only if they were to do that answer elsewhere. Students would also be able to write annotations. So if, let's say, they highlight something, they have the ability to make annotations here, change different colors, write something, this is cool. But again, only they would be able to see these annotations, not the teacher. Okay. The last thing I want to show you today is the student view. So the student view, there's not much the students can see that the teacher can't see, but the students do have this cool access to their data and see the articles they've read, to see the quiz percentage they've gotten. They also have the ability to see their average article lexile. That's a little cool information that the students have access to. Let's just take a quick look at what students will see. Okay, so we're going to head over to a student account here. So I have here a new Newsela page. I'm going to sign in, and I'm going to sign in with Google, and now it's going to sign in with my student account. Marcus Mandrill is my student over here. So if you notice, Marcus Mandrill is in my little Einsteins. He sees that he has a new assignment. It's that bare text set that I just created. If I were to click on the bare text set, this is what the student would see. I didn't create any unique instructions, but I can click on an article. And here, I can read the article. Remember, my reading level is locked. I can only read it at this reading level. And when I'm done reading, even when I begin reading, this is a little flaw in Newsela potentially, they can take the quiz at any point. There's no way to prove they read the quiz. with the free account. If you have the paid Newsela version, it'll tell you how long they were on the article, but with the free account, you cannot see that. But the questions are generated by Newsela. They change based on the reading level, and the questions are all reading comprehension based. But let's just pick a few answers here. Read the section, bears are pretty cool. That sounds like something I would write. And here we go. It's a 4-question quiz, and then it tells them the results. Wow, I'm a great guesser. 3 out of 4 correct. All right, I can review those questions afterwards, see which one I got wrong. I could also check out the writing prompt. And again, I could type out an answer here, but my teacher won't see it. The only way to do that is like I showed through Google Classroom. Okay. One last thing I want to show you is the student binder. So if I click on the binder for the student, it will show me, it'll show the student their average article lexile, their quiz average, the number of quizzes they've taken, and then every article they've written, whether a teacher assigned it or whether they did it independently. So students can do articles independently, and that data will still populate here. So the students have some cool features here. Not too much, honestly, but from the teacher perspective, they cannot see this data. Only the student can see this data. Only the teacher can see stuff that's submitted maybe through Classroom. Nikki, is there another question?
Yeah, we have another question, Joe. So is there a way to have open-ended questions with Newsela articles?
Okay, so good question. The quizzes in Newsela are created by Newsela, and they are 4 multiple-choice questions. You have the writing prompt that's generated by Newsela. However, you will not be able to see the responses. So students can answer it, but the teacher can't see what they wrote. You could do the workaround like I showed you with Google Classroom, where teacher can assign the article in Classroom and then have a place for students to respond to the prompt or even ask their own questions. You could create your own quiz based on the Newsela article. But for the actual Newsela quiz, no, there are no short answer questions. All right, let's take one last quick look at the student side and then let's wrap it up. Okay, so again, this is Marcus Mengel's data page. He has the ability to check out his assignments, and he can check out his binder, and he is good to go. I want to thank everyone for joining us on this course on Newsela. Hopefully you learned a few things. I want to thank Nikki for moderating.
Of course.
And I also want to thank Brian behind the camera for making us look so good. Remember, if you want to receive credit for this course, make sure you complete the quiz and the survey. And if you have any questions at all, hit that Ask Otis button, and someone on our team will help you out. From all of us here at Tech, you're smart kids, I believe in you. Have fun, be safe.